Imagine this. You're a detective alive in the 1920s and your interest in your job starts to dwindle. The Chicago Warehouse District, the part of town where you work, is in the grubby hands of a gang named the Metro Gang, and you just don't see a reason anymore to fight for its freedom. That is, until a mysterious woman talks you into going through the motions of trying to save the district one more time. Only for you to discover that the gang you thought were just street criminals are actually part of an alien race called the Combine, and they're trying to take over the Earth. And time travel exists, which is what you use to destroy the Combine's other attempts through the years to prevent them from taking over the world. That story, that premise, is what a newly announced Half-Life 2 mod called the Burton Equation is attempting to tell you, the player. And oh my gosh, I love it already. Let's get into it. It's 2022 now, so that means we gotta celebrate a little bit. Lambda Gen user at ShacoCop uploaded the perfect image for it. And everybody is here. Heavy, other heavy, even this guy. Look at how pleased he is. Want your fan art featured next week? Upload it to the fan art category at community.lambdageneration.com and maybe we'll feature you next. On January 4th, 2022, a couple of days ago, David Driver Grom, aka Kralich, released a massive project announcement post over on ModDB detailing exactly what his newest project is going to be. You may know Kralich as the lead developer of Raising the Bar Redux, an already highly successful mod project. His latest mod is going to be quite a departure from the beta-inspired RTBR though. The Burton Equation is described as a zany Max Payne meets Time Splitters meets Half-Life mod project in the header of the announcement post. And a lot about it has already been let loose in this announcement post, so let's go take a look at it straight away. Alright, let's start off with the mod's premise. Like I mentioned before, you play as a 1920s era detective named Zachary Burton, who works in the dark and black and white painted world of the Chicago warehouse area. The district being held in the firm grips of a gang that keeps getting stronger and stronger, the Metro Gang. And Zachary doesn't have much energy left to keep the fight going against this gang. A mysterious woman convinces him otherwise though and gives the fight one more go. He later finds himself time traveling to defeat this gang that is actually the Combine in different eras to make sure they never ever get to take over the Chicago Warehouse District ever again, and by extension, the rest of the Earth. The eras that you'll visit in your playthrough of the mod are of course the 20s, but also the 40s, the 80s, and the 2010s, where you'll fight the same fight as Gordon Freeman in the streets of City 17, where you have to sabotage the Combine's time machine once and for all. If this sounds like an epic adventure to you, then I guess we're sharing the same feelings here, good viewer of mine. Letting the mod take place in different eras is definitely going to be a huge undertaking for Kralich and the rest of his development team. But nevertheless, they made it all work, and the screenshots provided in the announcement post kinda speak for themselves. We got a handful of screenshots from the Noir Chapter of the mod, which is where you'll start off. This chapter will actually be fully played in black and white and with that signature Chicago light drizzle going on. It looks pretty atmospheric. Oh, do keep in mind that these are very early screenshots and that these levels need some more art passes before the team can consider them done. The second chapter of the mod will take place in the 1940s, so the black and white filter has been replaced by a sepia one, and you'll now find yourself smack dab in the middle of World War II in Germany, where Combine goons control the trenches. Lots of fire, debris, and World War II aesthetics will fill this chapter up. Chapter 3, though, gets a lot more colorful, taking place in 1980s Miami with its neon-drenched streets and interior design covered with kitsch patterns and grandma's favorite wallpapers. In this chapter, you have to ascend a skyscraper to destroy the Combine's hideout nested on top. Chapter 4, the final chapter, takes Zachary to City 17 in the 2010s where the Civil War is in full swing. But instead of heading towards the Citadel, like what Gordon is doing, Zachary decided to head over to the Time Travel Nexus instead to stop the Combine's time travel business right there and then. With these 4 chapters taking place in different eras, you need appropriate props for them as well. Like this Fabrine Corp keycard, these 80s era cars that you can hide for cover behind. Oh, and look at these 1920s styled Metro cops with fedoras and everything. This is definitely a style, oh my gosh. Smoking is bad though, do not recommend. Bad Metro cop. And let's not forget about the shady 80s businessman-looking Combine soldiers for the Miami chapter of the mod. It's like they come straight out of Miami Vice. Or GTA Vice City. It's perfect. Okay, we've seen some props and character models, but how about the weapons? Well, the mod got you covered there as well with period-correct weaponry at your disposal. From the Tommy gun to the MP40 and the shotgun, all of these can be found in their respective time periods. His 357 being by his side at all times. Zachary can also use his fists to physically assault Combine soldiers, and there's even an animation for putting on his fedora, because Zachary Burton is a detective. A style detective. Kralich mentions here too that the mod has a real emphasis on gunplay and how the guns feel. The encounters themselves with the Combine not being an easy thing to just get through, especially not on the higher difficulty levels. Another interesting thing about this mod comes from how the story of Zachary Burton is going to be told. Because it's going to be told through art, specifically comic panels. In the game, each chapter will be introduced with some fully voiced comic panels, the art of which changes to reflect the era that Burton finds himself in. I absolutely love this detail, and I think it'll make the presentation of this mod stand out from others. Here is a reconstructed example of how it's sort of going to look like in-game.
Sometimes the places we know the most are the places we like the least. I'm Zachary Burton, police detective.
Thanks to Kralich for supplying me with a voice line to use. The voice you just heard belongs to Sam Warren, aka Entity 37. And the comic panels are done by artist Adam Rogers, who did a fantastic job illustrating the different time periods and the way they feel. Another big part of controlling feelings is of course the music, and even the music is period specific. And you've been listening to the soundtrack in the background of this video already. But let me just play a couple of samples for you right now anyway. The soundtrack for the 20s, 40s, and 2010s are composed by Edward Stelic, with the 80s soundtrack being done by Kasper Sliwa. In total, the Burton Equation will have 24 different music tracks, all divided up into 4 distinct albums that you can no doubt listen to once the mod is out. Alright, it's no secret at this point that I'm really excited about this mod. It seems really original, and its execution so far seems incredibly good. The mod is currently only in the near beta stages though, so a lot of polishing will still be done. The maps currently do admittedly look a little blocky, but I'm sure most of that will be fixed in the final release. So now comes the big question. When will this mod release? Well, I spoke to Kralich and he told me that the mod still has at least a couple more years to go, so we won't be playing it anytime soon, I'm afraid. We're in it for the long haul. But in the meantime, I'm sure we'll be seeing more of the Burton Equation in due time. It's also worth mentioning that the mod will be releasing on Steam once the time is there, so it's easy to find and install. You're going to need a copy of Half-Life 2 though, so if you don't have that game yet for some unspeakable reason. Like, for real, what are you doing here? JK, I love you. Then go grab yourself a copy now. It's super cheap. Now, with every media update that we cover, we may have left out some smaller stuff in order to make a more concise video. So it's always worth checking out these project announcements for yourself. It's linked in the description below. And while you're there, why not follow the mod and leave a sweet comment for Kralich and his team to read. And the team for this mod is pretty big and have all worked pretty hard on this project. So some love they definitely deserve. I can't wait to be playing the Burton Equation. Maybe I'm gonna have to invent a time machine of my own just so I can jump in time to play it now. Or then. Or... my brain melts trying to think about it. But it should be possible, right? I mean, the mod's tagline is literally, time is an equation and you're here to solve it. But what if I'm bad at math?